Hello, how you doing today? This is Ferrante Frazier, Dr. Ferrante Frazier with Natural as F and Savannah Natural Health. We're back here to teach you some holistic ways on how to correct health issues without the use of medicines, without the use of herbs or any type of remedies or anything like that. Most people, when they're looking to heal themselves, the first thing they ask is, what can I take? What remedy or what um, you know, um, supplement could I use to offset these symptoms that I'm having? Our thing is to treat symptoms. That's the most things that most people want to do when they're having these, you know, nauseous or nuisance of symptoms. They want to find ways to get it to stop. We teach you how to get it to stop permanently by removing the cause. You know, we don't just suppress it and then it flare back up later, or you have to up your dose on the remedy or the treatment. We teach you how to remove the cause. Get your hand out of the fire and it'll stop burning. you know Stop drinking and you'll stop getting drunk. you know get out of the sun and you'll stop burning. you know get out of the cold and you'll stop shivering and freezing. So we look at the cause. We don't palliate or suppress the symptoms that is the poisons in our body is causing, or the bad habit is causing. All right. So we address that, the cause and not the effect of the cause. That's what symptom suppressing and symptom palliation is. You're addressing the effects of the cause. All right. As think about a man who, he's drunk, and he don't address that his drunkenness or his slurred speech is due to his alcohol, but he want to try to take something to stop the slurred speech. um, he's not walking properly. He want to take something or get on some crutches to walk properly while he's drinking. All these different effects of drunkenness is being palliated or suppressed. So that's how I want you to look at this when we're talking about the symptoms that you're suffering from. There is no cure for it. The only cure is to remove cause. That's the only cure to your problem. Everything else is palliation or suppression. Now, the effects of palliation and suppressing will lead to chronic issues. When you don't let an acute issue heal properly or naturally by removing cause, then that problem will eventually become chronic in your life. It's there to stay then. There is no getting rid of it unless you really, really, do a about face in your daily habits and start living according to natural hygiene. That's what we teach here at Savannah Natural Health and on this show, Natural as F, that you will be seeing every Tuesday at 6 o'clock. You'll be learning about natural hygiene. Now, natural hygiene is a science geared around teaching you the ideal requirements, our natural needs. In natural hygiene, they call it primordial requisites. But if we was to interpret that to the novice listener, our basic needs. We need air. We need sun. We need water. We need ideal food, not just food. Some people say he just don't, a full belly, you know, is a full belly. That's not true. You know, a healthy full belly is what's going to create health in you. You can fill a belly up with wood chips. You can feel it. You got some people with these strange addictions, and they eat pillow linings and the cotton out of the pillow and feathers, and some eat on rocks and all type of stuff. Is that going to do anything for their nutrition? You know. So here it is when we're eating all these, chemically laden foods, these foods that are full of rocks and debris and additives and colors and all type of other stuff. that they're putting in these manufactured foods. We're actually bellies full of waste products, poison, toxic substances. And those toxic substances, our body will work towards cleaning up its internal environment. You don't have to do the work of cleaning your environment. The body does it itself. You don't have to take no pill to detox. Your body is going to get rid of that poison. It's going to get it out through the normal routes, which is urinating, you breathe in, and a bowel movement. Now, when those organs and tissues are fatigued, overused, abused, then the body have to find another route. It can't use the routes that were designed for elimination, because you eliminate carbon gases and other forms of gas out through your lungs. The kidneys get rid of crystals and chemical waste. The colon it extracts solid matter up out of the colon. So these three organs are designed to keep the blood clean at all times. But they falter in their job when they don't have functioning power. In natural hygiene, we call it nerve energy. Most people know it as vitality, vital force, biotic force, energy, power, functioning power. All those are synonymous with each other. So when you're ran out of power, then the organs of detoxification fail in doing their job. They have no power to work. They have no energy to work, just like you. You fatigued and tired. You don't want to go out there and work. You don't want to even go downstairs and take the dog out. You don't even want to get up and fix you nothing to eat because you are fatigued. Now imagine when the colon is fatigued. We call it constipation. But what we do, we beat a tired colon into action. All right. And we wonder why we even suffer more chronic constipation. We force the kidneys to filter out waste when it's tired. We call them diuretics. And we take these things and we end up with failure of our kidneys. Our kidneys become fatigued from overwork. And it starts to atrophy, meaning that it starts degenerating, becoming small. So a small kidney can't do what a big kidney could do. So your vitality, your health potential has been diminished. All right. Same thing with the lungs. They put us on expectorants. They have it where we have toxins coming out of the lungs. All right. And this does damage to those organs as well. We have carbon build up. But this is not our subject today. It's just that I want to put it back in your mind about the true conditions of health, because that's what our show is based on. The natural as F situation. You want to be natural. All right. It's not natural to take herbs, remedies, medicines, and be treated in any way. Surgeries are not even natural. It's natural for you to naturally be healthy. But for you to be healthy, there are conditions. Health is not unconditional. It comes with conditions. And those conditions are what we call primordial requisites. Interpreted, our basic needs. All right. So our basic needs: fresh air, water, sun, ideal food, cleanliness, regular exercise, rest and relaxation, nurturing relationships, the will to live, a cheerful outlook, freedom from stress, and staying away from toxic people. Now, we see in our community, and I'm talking the Black community here, because this is the platform, Our Black Media. In the Black community, our children are under huge amounts of stress. And according to scientific research, the stress that our kids are under at an early age already breaks them mentally down, physically down, and emotionally down. So when we say that, they should overcome and all kind of different stuff, we're not setting them up for success. And then when they go out here and beat on each other, robbing and stealing and doing all kind of stuff, we're saying, well, what's wrong with them? They're only doing according to the environmental exposure that they had, what they went through. Those who usually grow up in the, in the projects, that's all they've been around. People selling dope, shooting one another, fussing and all kind of stuff. So that's what's programmed into their subconscious mind. So our thing is to teach our kids and ourselves, not just the kids, because some of us adults are out of our mind as well. Even to the point where we think that we're dictators about other people's lives, that we can control other people's lives. And if they're not following our beliefs, then they're wrong. I'm telling people, hey, eating chicken is unhealthy, but I can't force that on anybody. All I can do is advise them. But you got some people out here that tell you, well, you shouldn't be doing that. That's illegal. Well, it's nothing illegal to me. I'm not a legal person. But that's neither here nor there. I am just a man, and I have my own personal beliefs. But in teaching about a better mindset, because a lot of times we suffer health issues that is not corrected when the diet is changed. I've had clients come into my office and they're suffering a physical symptom, and I put them on a better eating style, have them going out there getting sunlight, have them drinking clean, pure water, have them, cleaning up their air, and their issues still don't get better. When that's the situation, well, I make sure I just go ahead and nip all that in the bud now, but early in the days, I dig into their thought patterns, their mind, the mind of man. And when we dig into that, we see that there's turmoil in the brain. Now, we got to think about it. I was just talking about some people who want to dictate their beliefs to you and all type of other stuff. When you go into the grocery store is ran by a brain, all right? The banks are ran by brains. I know we say people, but those people are operating from the state of their brain. So brains run the hospital, brains run the government, in whatever state that brain is in, we're going to see the effects trickling down into our hospital. We'll see foolishness, or we'll see greatness. In a healthy brain, we'll see greatness. In a toxic brain, we'll see foolishness. In a healthy brain, in a bank, we'll see good things. So this is in everywhere. In the schools ran by brains. Everything, when you go to a person and dealing with anybody outside of you, you're dealing with the state of that person's brain. This is why it's important for us to have a better world and experience. We need to raise the level of brain activity. consciousness in the brains of man. All right. A lot of things that are causing us to create havoc in our life, in our relationships, is because we have a limited pattern of thinking. The subconscious mind, according to Eckhart Tolle, he got a book out called Now. In that book, he talked about pain, how we as individuals, we allow the pain of our parents, our friends, our closest of family, teachers, and all kind of people who we come in contact with, and we see them in activity, and we experience the same pain that they've been exposed to. We're reliving situations of, our daddy. You're going through the same stuff your daddy went through. You're going through the same stuff, your mama going through. You turn out just like your mother. You turn out just like your daddy and stuff like that. So we're living the same pain. So the subconscious mind at an early age starts getting programmed. And over time, they call it LTP, long time potentiation. So you've been exposed to a way of living for a long time. That's all your conscious mind, your subconscious mind is programmed to do. Even if you consciously want to change what's going on in your life, your subconscious mind is more powerful than your conscious mind because it's automatic. It's on go. It's programmed, and that program is going to run. It's going to run. It's going to run. You notice that you don't want to eat bad foods consciously. Everybody want to be healthy consciously, but subconsciously we're addicted. We driven to go get the ice cream. We're driven to go get the turkey wings smothered in gravy over white rice and all kind of other foods that are just not going to digest in our stomach, that our body cannot bring up. Right? We had said mental health days are so important, especially for the young folks. This is true, but we don't look at that in teaching the young people. We just want to teach them math. We just want to teach them some basic science. We just want to teach them how to, speak proper grammar, and different things of that nature. But we lack teaching them about that internal dialogue. I don't remember a class that I had in my whole 12 years in public school where it taught me to look at my internal dialogue, my self-talk, that conversation that I have that no one else can hear. Now, if that conversation, that internal dialogue is toxic, then my behavior is going to reflect that toxic conversation I'm having. In my mind, I'm mind reading people already. Oh, that person must be just don't like me. Look how their face is all turned up. So we're reading cues, and we really are not able to read the cues that we're seeing, and we act on those false cues. And that's why you see a lot of turmoil. People, I don't know why he did this to me. You know why I did it, because you did this and this. So what I'm want to go over, and I hope you got a paper and a pen, I want to go over 8 patterns of limited thinking. And this is in the thought and feeling journal, Taking Control of Your Moods and Your Life, by Matthew McKay, Martha Davis, and Patrick Fanning. All those are PhDs. So they're doctors in their field, and this is what they study. And they talk about the internal dialogue, which was checking out the pattern of thinking. Now, number 1, I want you to write this down. It's called filtering. Now, a lot of these patterns of thinking that I'm going to be exposing you to, it's not always that we just only doing one. Sometimes we're doing two at one time. They intermingle with each other. They overlap and stuff. So sometimes we can do all 8 patterns of limited thinking all at one time. That's a bad state to be in. But you're going to see in these patterns somewhere, it's like a mirror you're going to see right now. You're going to see yourself. Filtering is characterized by a sort of tunnel vision, looking at only one element of a situation to the exclusion of everything else. A single detail becomes the focus, and the whole event or situation is colored by this detail. For example, a computer draftsman who was uncomfortable with criticism was praised for the quality of his recent detailed drawings and asked if he could get the next job out just a little bit more quickly. All right. So this is an example of filtering. Now, I used to do it myself when I used to teach at certain universities or go in there and do like speakings and different things, or when I was speaking some of these community centers in our area, I would go in there and I would speak and expose them to natural hygiene. Now, I would have like probably about 100 people show up, and 98 of them would be buying my books. They would be trying to take pictures with me after the seminar. They would, be so excited and like, wow, we was waiting to hear this type of information, and what could we do more about it? And I mean, they were so, gleed about what we were bringing to them. Then there would be two, see them rushing out the door, or in their statement, they'd be like, man, I'm not about to mess with that. I'm gonna take my medicine. You're not gonna get me off my medicine. Medical science has progressed so much. Now, I would at the beginning, I would be where I would be at the like, what could I have said? My mind would not even focus on the 98 that just praised me in this teaching, them of natural hygiene. But the two that didn't comprehend it or was in conflict with what I was teaching, those my mind just geared down on. Like, what could I have said? I probably should have took it from a different route and taught them this way. Or I wish I could sit with them and, why are they talking like that? So it would bother me all day, and can't even focus on the 98 that received the message properly. This guy here, he was praised on his drawings, but I mean, praise, saying, man, this is marvelous. But in doing so, his boss said, the next job, could you get it out just a little bit more quickly? And he forgot the praise. He geared on it like thinking that, oh, my bosses think that I'm dawdling. My bosses think that I'm playing around, because why did he say that? And he's just sitting there going off on that constantly. So here it is. We're filtering out the good and focusing on the bad. And a lot of us do that in our life. Example. My wife, she'll come home. She'll be there on the phone telling the girls they better have this house clean. Have this house straightened up. She better not see nothing messed up in there. Now the girls will spend most of their day and time getting this house cleaned up that they can see that need to be clean in their state of consciousness. My wife, she's coming in there looking for something bad. She don't see that the whole house has really been clean. All she sees is one book still left on the couch. But everything else is clean. But that book should have been put up too, in her mind. So she'd go in, hey, fussing like, hey, who left this book out? I thought I told y'all to clean the place up. Y'all didn't clean the place up, So here it is now. She filtered out all the good stuff that them girls done did. And now what? It's just focusing on the negative. Filtering. Each person looks through his or her own particular tunnel. Depressed people are hypersensitive to loss and blind to gain. That's all they do is like, oh, I'm not going to do anything because I lost money 10 years ago. It could have been 10 years ago. I'm not going to invest in the stock market. It happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I don't want to get back behind the wheel because last time I was behind the wheel, I wrecked. So they don't even get in cars anymore. And they drove the car 20 years prior to their last time, 10 years ago. All right. For anxious people, the slightest possibility of danger seems like a bomb threat, even though the scene might otherwise be safe and secure. So in anxious people, any possibility of danger is magnified. It's magnified to the highest extent. Let's look at polarized thinking. Oh, before we go there, filtering awfulizes, according to the Thought and Feeling Manual, by pulling negative events out of context and focusing on them while ignoring your good experiences. Your fears, losses, and irritations become exaggerated in importance because they fill your awareness to the exclusion of everything else. Keywords of filtering patterns are terrible. Life is just so terrible. When I drive terrible. Well, maybe sometime. Or people drive terrible. I always run into terrible people. How always is not a good way of doing things anyhow either. Always and never thinking. But we'll get to that one. Awful. Things are awful, disgusting, scary, and so on. A key phrase is, I can't stand it. All right. A polarized thinking. This number 2. Write that down. Polarized thinking. Polarized thinking is sometimes called black and white thinking. It is limited thinking patterns. No shades of gray are allowed. You insist on either or choices, perceiving everything at the extremes with very little room for any middle ground. All right. People and things are good or bad. They're wonderful or horrible. They're delightful or intolerable. Since your interpretations are extreme, your emotional reactions are also extreme. They fluctuate with despair to elation, to ecstasy, then to terror. So not only are your thoughts, either at one end of the spectrum or at the other end of the spectrum, but even your emotions. You see some people extremely happy, or you see them extremely sad. No in between. They're always going from, like they said, going to 100 real quick. The greatest danger in polarized thinking is its impact on how you judge yourself. You could believe that if you aren't perfect or brilliant, then you must be a failure. No in between here. No middle ground. So when you are polarized thinking and you make a mistake, then you may be saying to yourself subconsciously, I am a failure because I ain't perfect. Because I can only be perfect or I can be imperfect. A failure. So that's the greatest danger with polarized thinking. You could believe that, there's no room for mistakes or mediocrity. For example, a charter bus driver told himself he was a real loser when he took the wrong freeway exit. and had to drive 2 miles out of his way. One mistake meant that he was incompetent and worthless. Now, some of this may seem like, man, why people actually think like that? Yes, I'm telling you, they do. I've had to help a lot of clients overcome their limited patterns of thinking that were causing them so much sabotage in their lives. All right. A single mother with 3 children is determined to be strong and in charge. But the moment she felt nervous or something like that, to herself, she began thinking that she's weak, or falling apart. No middle ground. Like she can't make one mistake. Something is going wrong. Number 3, overgeneralization. In overgeneralization, you make broad conclusions based on a single incident or piece of evidence. One drop stitch leads to conclude, I'll never learn how to knit. Just one stitch, man. You interpret a rejection on the dance floor as nobody would ever want to dance with me. You overgeneralizing here. One person don't hire you for a job, or even 2. I'm never going to get a job. I'm going to be broke forever. You see how those thoughts start building on top of each other? This pattern can lead to an increasingly restricted life. If you got sick on a train once, you decide never to take a train again. If you got dizzy on the 6th floor balcony, you'll never climb stairs anymore or be on balcony. If you felt anxious, when your husband or your wife went on a business trip or left out without you, then every time they leave without you, you're going to be in a wreck. Overgeneralization are often couched in a form of absolute statements, as if there are some immutable law that governs and limits your chances for happiness, right? You may be overgeneralizing every, all, never, always, everybody, and nobody. Nobody loves me. Well, nobody? Everybody hates me. Well, and I didn't have people talking to me. I had to tell one of my clients the other day when I was talking to him, it said, all my relationships, she said, I can't be in a relationship. All my relationships are toxic. I said, all of them? She was like, yes, all of them. I said, well, goodness. I mean, you've been seeing each other for 2 months now. And you've been telling me all this good stuff that's been happening to you. Your health issues have disappeared and your mentality is getting stronger. You're getting back the will to live and all type of thing. I would think that's a healthy relationship me and you have. And she's like, oh, I didn't look at that. So here again, filtering and overgeneralizing. So when we go over that, she see herself overgeneralizing. She see herself filtering out positive relationship. The next one is mind reading. When you mind read, you assume you know how others are feeling and what motivates them, which can lead to a snap judgment. He's just acting that way because he's jealous. She's only interested in your money. He's afraid to show he cares. Now, I've had this happen in my own self with my wife. She would get secluded sometime. And automatically I'd be like, I must be did something wrong. And if I don't inquire to her to find out what it is going on with her, in my mind, I got a bunch of thoughts that's just popping up. And Dr. Amen called them ants. He called them ants, A-N-T, ant. But ants with an S mean many, you know. So he saying if you have an ant that come and you don't squish that ant or feed it to your ant eater, it's going to bring more ants, and your brain or mind is going to become polluted with ants. Now, what are ants? That's an acronym for automatic negative thoughts. All right. So my population of ants have grown because I did not do anything to stop it. I let it run. I let my mind just run. So here it is. In my mind, I'm thinking I've done something wrong, and she got to be mad at me. Who else can she be mad at? She's not married to nobody else. The kids, I don't see none of them, her fussing at them or anything like that. So who can she be mad at? It's got to be me. And then, I start acting. I'm in there like, well, if she's going to be mad at me, then shoot, who cares? Then I'm start acting up. And then go on to start talking about I'm mad, I'm treating her bad, and she up there like, what is wrong with you? I was like, well, what is wrong with you? You're treating me like this, so shoot. I'm not going to say anything to you. I'm not going to do anything for you. What is wrong? What are you talking about? This is her. What are you talking about? Well, I noticed you're not talking to me. You're acting up and all type of stuff. Well, she'd tell me, hold up. You're not the only person that caused me stress like you're doing now. I'm mad at you now, but you're not the only person who caused me stress. I got brothers. I got sisters that I deal with. I got mamas and daddies that I deal with. You know what I mean? I have coworkers that I deal with. I'm in life dealing with a bunch of what I said earlier, brain. And if one person causes me problem, I might be showing it, but it's not for you all the time. It might be you a couple of times, like now, but not all the time. So I have to, calm myself down, and I had to get into a point where everything she got mad about, I didn't take it personally. I didn't take it as being about me, all about me. You know what I'm saying? It's other stuff in her life. Next one, catastrophizing. If you catastrophize, a small leak in the sailboat means it will surely leak or sink. A contractor whose estimate gets underbid concludes he'll never get another job. A headache suggests that brain cancer is looming, is on the way. Catastrophic thoughts often start with the words, what if? Well, what if I am? What if I do have cancer? My head been hurting 2 days now. And I remember my mama head hurting when she ended up suffering and dying from cancer. I remember reading in a book where people with cancer had headaches. So if that's what I've been exposed to, and then I get a headache and it lasted for 2 days, guess what the subconscious telling me? Oh man, we might have brain cancer. So if the subconscious believes that to be true and you're thinking that, then it's going to start producing symptoms of what you believe you have. So you're actually creating your sickness and disease from your thinking, your imagination, your image that you're putting in your head, your programs are creating your demise. So if you want to change your world, you must change your brain, change your thought pattern. There's a book out that teaches this called, Think and Grow Rich. you know. When we look at the next one, you know, I had it one time where I wouldn't even get on the airplane. All right. I wouldn't get on the airplane because I had too many what ifs in my mind. What if soon as we get in the air, the engine cut off? What if soon as we're flying and I go to sleep, the plane fall down? You know, what if the pilot don't know what he's doing? Or what if he is a hijack? Then they're gonna hijack the plane. You know, what if? So for a long time, I wouldn't even get on plane until I worked on breaking those patterns. What's the probability here? You know, okay, 3 planes in 10 years out of a billion takeoffs, a hijacking happened. So what's the probability that I'm going to be on a plane that is hijacked? What's the probability of me being on a plane that is going to, I went to probabilities instead of the, allowing this is what you call coping thoughts. Put it in probability. What is the probability that that's going to happen to me? Has it happened to me yet? How many people around me has it happened to? You know, when you start thinking like that, then it'll stop those thoughts from populating in your mind, and it'll stop limiting your life. Remember, we say there are 8 patterns of limited thinking, and it also limit your life. Those limited thinking patterns. We can go to magnify. When you magnify, you emphasize things out of proportion to their actual importance. Small mistakes become tragic failure. Minor suggestions become crazy criticism. A slight backache becomes a ruptured disc. Now you're magnifying this stuff. I hate it when people leave, dishwater in the sink. I hate it. It's the worst ever. You're magnifying a simple solution of just pulling the stopper out and letting the water go out. But because, your mother probably used to tell you, you better not leave that in there, or you done got beat for that. Slight obstacles seem like overwhelming barriers when you magnify a situation. I can't do that. I'm not going to be able to do that. So it becomes like a obstacle that you just cannot overcome because you're not willing to do it, because you done magnify that as being impossible, overwhelming, too huge for you to do. So it's limiting you in your life. It's sabotaging you, that thought pattern. The flip side of magnifying is minimizing. When you magnify, you view everything negative and difficult in your life through a telescope that enlarges your problem. But when you view your assets, the good part of your life, you minimize it. You hear people say that all day long. Oh yeah, I just graduated with a PhD. But it ain't that big of a deal. Boy, but you should have seen when I made that mistake, man. That's what we need to talk about. You hear people even talking about people. They don't talk about their good doing. Most people are talking about their bad doing. That's what gets spread. You don't hear people spreading talking about, oh, the young man became a doctor. No, you don't hear much of that. But what you will hear is, oh, yes, he got locked up, for some weed or something like that. But you won't hear about the amount of people who he helped, correct health issues. Hundreds of people. Oh, he got to be a bad person. He got caught with a joint. Crazy. Then we'll go to personalization. There are 2 kinds of personalization. One involves directly comparing yourself with other people. He plays piano so much better than I do. I'm not smart enough to go with this crowd. She knows herself a lot better than I know myself. he feels things so deeply inside, and I'm like dead inside or something like that. So you comparing yourself to other people. You're usually looking at people and sizing them up. Look at his muscles. I think I got bigger muscles than him. You're always comparing yourself to other people. Now, sometimes the comparison is favorable for you. Oh yeah, these people dumb in here. You know what I'm saying? I'm smart. They dumb. You know what I mean? So I got a high out of knowing that I'm the smartest one in the room. Oh, I got the most money. But this means that your worth is questionable. When you have to size up and see what others are doing and put yourself on a pedestal around others, then you're saying that, okay, my worth is questionable here. Now, if you come up with, like, on top of your comparison, you get a little happiness, a quick result. It'd be quick though. But if you come up short, man, that thing can last for a long time. Your whole your emotional state is diminished. You don't even want to be around those type of people, even though they can bring you up to their level. But let's go to shoulds, and this is our last one. You may operate from a list of inflexible rules about how you and others should act and view these rules as right and indisputable. You see any deviation from your values or your standards as bad. And as a result, you often judge others and find fault. People irritate you. They don't act correctly and they don't think correctly. They have unacceptable traits, habits, and opinions that make them hard to tolerate. They should know the rules and they should follow them. One woman felt that her husband should want to take her on Sunday drives. She decided that a man who loves his wife ought to take her to the country and then out to eat and then come home and have, romance or romantic night. That's what he should be doing. If he's a real man, he should be able to pay for my meal, take me out. You're living by shoulds. The woman should want to make love to me because, I pay her bill. That's what women do, right? That's the rule. I buy you a chicken box, you produce. Buy your Happy Meal, you produce. Living by, don't y'all get mad at me. But these rules. And why are they not following the rule? Should, ought, must. Those would kind of have you doing that. All right. So what you should do is what you need to do to start paying attention to those thoughts. Matter of fact, we'll do that in our next show where we're going to teach you how to, zone in on those thoughts. But all you have to do is start writing them down. When you start having thoughts and negative thoughts at that, and this is how you know it's a negative thought. You feel it in your body. Your body is going to reflect your thought pattern. And if you're in fear, you're going to notice that you might sweat or you might, heart race a little more, or your hand might ball up, or, and the anger will be that too, you know what I'm saying? But you're having a negative thought, angry thought, a thought where, you worrying, your stomach knot up, you can't digest food, don't feel like eating or anything like that. So when you're having these symptoms, you can't even go to the bathroom. You know, um, you having constipation, or you end up with diarrhea. A lot of these be because your thoughts are out of whack, and you got a infestation of ants, automatic negative thoughts inside your mind. And what you have to do is you have to feed those thoughts to your anteater. You got to create one. I used to have a trash can on the side of my head, and every time a negative thought came there, to me, or my body started feeling some way, I said, what was I just thinking? Because I get on the trail of thoughts where I want to, be done, be at the like, why the government is doing what they're doing? You know what I'm saying? Why are they allowed to do that? Why the judges in our county are allowed to just steal people's property unlawfully, unconstitutionally, and stuff like that? And I'll go on a tangent for a minute. And then I noticed that my hands balled up, and my stomach all knotted up. I ain't breathed for about 5 or 10 minutes almost. Then I have to become aware, and I say, oh man, I have to come back to now. You know what I mean? Because I was off in my mind, seeing all kind of stuff. I had to come back to now. When I came back to now, I noticed that, I wasn't breathing. My hands balled up, my chest hurting and all kind of stuff. And a lot of us, we're on these mind-boggling journeys for long periods of time, days. And we're wondering why our issues in our body are not correcting, because our minds need to be corrected. So yes, holistic health is not only a sound body, but it's also a sound mind. I hope you was able to learn something in this episode of Natural as F with dealing with the 8 patterns of limited thinking. We're going to extend this to our next show, which will speak more about the ants. They're pretty much similar to the 8 patterns of limited thinking, but it's coming from a different perspective where you can get a broad range of understanding of how to remove the negative thoughts out of your mind, where you can create a better life. Change the brain, change your life. All right. So best of health and happiness. This has been Dr. Ferrante Frazier with Savannah Natural Health. Please tune in and share our shows. And we thank Our Black Media for allowing us to present this information to their viewers. We always thank our viewers for tuning in. We love y'all, and y'all have a wonderful night. Talk to y'all later.
I like that.